So many desires, or as many desires, so many blankets. Covering the radiance of the Spirit. We have to uncover to discover. We have to uncover, discover. We have to uncover, discover.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Divine Discoveries podcast. We're honored to have you joining us for our Diwali special, where we're going to speak about all things Diwali, really. You know, there's a lot of facets and aspects to this festival, as there is to most of our festivals. Since we have a lot to talk about with regards to Diwali and some other things later on in the show, I want to go ahead and get started with our introductory prayers. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadguru Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Gajananam Bhutaganadisevitam Kapitta Jambhu Phalasara Bhakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatye Swaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Shri Mahakalikaye Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarakamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshi Yamamritat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha. Om Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadursham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Birthyanagamiam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om Shri Mahavishnuve Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Pandurangaya. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Cha Vidmahe Vishnu Patni Cha Dhimahi Tanno Lakshmi Prachodayat. Om Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. Om Shri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranata Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Shri Krishnam Vande Jagatkurum. Om Klim Krishnaya Namaha. Om Klim Krishnaya Namaha. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Thank you, everyone. Really excited to be doing this episode, number 15. And here we are celebrating Diwali. You know, are about to celebrate Diwali, really, because it hasn't started yet, but the festivities begin as of tomorrow, the 18th of October. So, you know, we have a lot to talk about, as I said, but to those who are regularly joining us and listening to us, following us on social media, and appreciating what we do, or giving us feedback, even constructive criticism is most welcome. We're really thankful for all of you who are spending your time listening to us and following us. There's several ways that you can connect with us. One of them is the social media outlet, which is of the Facebook Divine Discoveries page. You can certainly connect with that. You can connect with us on Instagram via Divine Discoveries 108. Same thing by email, divinediscoveries108@gmail.com. Please write to us if you have any questions or any topic ideas or just about anything. We welcome any sort of feedback. Of course, we're on all the major streaming platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, a bunch of other ones, YouTube. So pick your preferred one and certainly continue listening to our material. It means a lot to us. I would like to also request all of you to please take the time, if you like a particular episode or overall you like the show, please take the time to rate us on that given streaming platform, because that way our show gets more visibility, and that's always helpful for us to grow as a podcast. So we really appreciate all of you and everything you're doing to help us out in terms of our growth. Thank you so much. So with that, I'd like to actually introduce my co-host today, who's been a guest with us for a couple of episodes. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Christiane or Vikram, who are my regular castmates, to join us. Christiane has mentioned that she's not going to be available this entire month. And Vikram is once again a father for his second child, who was born on September 1st, I believe. Her name is Shri. So he's got another baby girl. So congratulations to Vikram and his family on that wonderful addition to his family, and they're spending Diwali together. So, but we certainly miss him and Christiane today. But we have none other than Janardana Das, who is filling in for them, and I'm so thankful to have him.
Thank you, Prat. Very, very humbled and honored to be back again. And glad to contribute anything that is very helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we have been really on a roll here with the festivals of Hinduism. It kind of started back in, I think, August with Shri Krishna Janmashtami, and then it's been marathon since then with Ganesh Chaturthi and Navratri and Dashera and Vijayadashmi, and then now here we are with Diwali. And as most of the people know, Diwali is, I would say, the most internationally known popular Hindu festival there is. And, it's also known by most to be the festival of lights, and also, feasting and lots of families getting together. It's sort of like, I would say, for the Hindus, it's a combination really of Christmas and Thanksgiving, if you will. And it's the last festival that we celebrate in any given calendar year. So it's the way we end the year with a bang, so to speak. So a lot of people have this understanding that it's the festival of lights, but there's much, much more to Diwali than just that. And we're going to discuss about that. And when we talk about Festival of Lights, really what it symbolizes or signifies is the light is dispelling the darkness, right? If you want to take a physical example, like any dark room is super dark until there's a glimmer of light somewhere around that room, around that darkness, which then dispels that darkness or eradicates that darkness. And the symbology of it really is, there's darkness or negativity within every being to some degree, and it sheds light or casts light upon that aspect and reminds us that this is the time when we need to try to turn the page and, sort of have a fresh start, that whatever we've done till this point, the good things will continue, but I'm going to work on reducing the negativity and the darkness that is inside my heart. And that's really the true symbology of what this light dispelling darkness really means, because we light these oil lamps and lanterns and turn the lights on in our house. There's fireworks and there's all these, obviously the abundance of food and feasting. So, all of this is the material aspect of it. But then the festivals that we celebrate also have a religious and a spiritual, a deeper meaning to it. So we'll get into that. But what I'd like to speak about is, or what I'd like to first have you all listen to is Guruji's video, because he speaks about the deity who is most prominently worshipped during this festival, and that is none other than the benevolent, benign, affectionate, motherly goddess Mahalakshmi, who most know as the goddess of abundant wealth, prosperity. So let's have Guruji tell us how Mahalakshmi actually first appeared as Mahalakshmi. So here we go.
Once it so happened, intoxicated with soma rasa, the soma drink from the soma plant, Indra, the head of the angels, was mounting over the celestial elephant called Airavata. Sage Durvasa, who is a spark of Shiva. Sage Durvasa did the Shiva puja and brought a garland that is offered to Shiva Lingam. He brought it thinking of blessing Indra. It is the Mahaprasada. It's the prasad of God containing the energy of Shiva, which would have blessed him forever with all prosperity. But Indra insulted the sage by just taking by one hand that garland and threw it round the neck of the elephant. And the arrogant elephant took it from the neck, holding by the trunk, twisting for a while, dashed it to the ground, and trod over that flower garland, which is offered as the Shiva Prasada. So many stories you have heard in Satyanarayan Katha by rejection of prasad. What are the calamities come? So here, Durvasa flew into rage and took a little water from his sacred jar and pronounced a curse by the same way how the Shiva Prasad was trod over by your elephant with your arrogance. May all of your wealth be drowned in the ocean. Like that, the shapa or the curse of Durvasa came upon Indra. The very next moment, all the wealth of Amaravati, wealth of the paradise, drowned into the ocean, and Devas became the beggars. Indra understood his folly, and therefore he went to Mahavishnu. Lord Vishnu suggested, let the one part of Himalaya called Mount Mandara be brought here by Garuda, the holy eagle vehicle of Vishnu. Let the Mandara mountain become the churning rod, the cosmic energy, Shakti Kundalini, the serpentine energy or serpent guard, become the churning rope, and let the ocean of milk be the churning pot. So such a cosmic churning has never happened before. All the wealth which will be, everything will be restored along with nectar, Amrita. So Asuras on one hand and the Devas on the other. Like this, the two groups began churning. So as the churning goes on, the first thing which manifested out of that was deadly poison, Kalakuta. This is the story of your meditation. When the first mantra is given and you begin the meditation churning, the first thing is all negativity will come. Why did I go to your Guru? Why did I receive a mantra? I was all right before. Everything that which was in unconscious, subconscious dimension, all that carpet cleaning comes to the surface. So all that negativity, the poison, one has to offer it to Shiva. Therefore, everyone invoked Shiva And Lord Shiva drank the poison. Parvati was concerned like every other wife. Oh, my husband may die by drinking the poison, and she held it so tight in that spot. And therefore, the poison pervaded the neck and made him blue-throated one. Nilakantaya Namaha became a mantra. If your wife holds you, suffocates, you may call police, I don't know. But here in this case, it became a mantra and a great story. Nilakantaya Namaha. So that is to say, all negativity, Shiva, god of destruction, is capable of drinking and blessing you with peace. That is the idea. So don't keep any negativity with you. You offer it to God. He is capable of crushing it and blessing you with peace. That's the idea. After that, one after another, several things came in the churning of the ocean. There came, as you know, again, everything that Airavata, everything went into the ocean. Therefore, it came back again, the Airavata, the celestial elephant, Uchchaishravas, the flying horse, and the Kaustubha gem which Mahavishnu constantly decks his neck, and Varuni, the goddess of different wine, etc. Everything came out of it. Demons were very happy when Varuni, the goddess of liquor, came. Demons ran behind her and took everything, began drinking, and got drunk. So, one after another, these things began coming. Kamadhenu, the cow of plenty. Kalpataru, which means the wish yielding tree. All these came, and finally, Mahalakshmi, Kamalalaya, the lotus bar. Mahalakshmi manifested there. Because that Mahalakshmi, all the wealth which has gone, drowned into the ocean, now took this celestial form. Mahalakshmi appeared there in the ocean of milk. She is the daughter of Samudra, daughter of the ocean king. Therefore, she is known as Samudra Tanaya, Kshira Sagara, ocean of milk. There she was born. And she was extraordinarily beautiful. And the wealthiest of all, because she is the goddess of wealth herself. See, the gold continuously pours forth from her hand. Now, immediately the ocean king thought, to whom shall I marry this girl? By birth itself, she is not a small girl, but of wonderful youth and resplendent beauty. Usually, you find whether the boy has a good job, coming from a good family to give your daughter in marriage to him. In this case, Ocean King was very much worried. I have to give her in marriage to one who is wealthier than herself and more beautiful than she. How shall I find such a boy? Ocean King invited all the denizens of heaven, 330 million, aerial car, traffic jam, up above, with all the sages, everyone coming for the marriage of Mahalakshmi in the White Island of the ocean of milk. Samudra Raja, the ocean king, gave a beautiful mala, vanamala, excellent garland in her hand. And Lakshmi was standing there. All people have come there for wealth. By marrying her, we will be extremely wealthy. We will have always the wealth and prosperity. For their wonderment, Lakshmi made an announcement. If anyone has come desiring me, forget about it. I marry him who has no desire for me. That was a stunning announcement. For almost, not almost, everyone who were present there have come with a desire for wealth. So everyone began scratching their head because they had a desire for wealth. The ocean king himself was worried. Finally, beyond all these hosts of divinities, there was one who had no desire at all. He was reclining over 1,000 hooded cobra, making that as his waterbed. Upon that Kshira Sagara, the ocean of milk, floating. Lakshmi saw that he is the one God, the Supreme, who has transcended the desire for goddess of prosperity. God plus desire is man, and when you conquer all the desire, then you become God. There is a difference between God and man. Therefore, Mahalakshmi, with all her wealth, went and offered the Vanamala garland to Mahavishnu, gave herself completely to Lord Mahavishnu. She is Nitya Mukta, ever free, universal mother, Mahalakshmi. Since that time, showered all that wealth back to Indra. Bolo Mahalakshmi Mata Ki.
Wow, that was a wonderful explanation by Guruji. Janardana, so now we have clarity as to how Goddess Lakshmi appeared in that celestial form and where she emanated from, and what was the historic event that was happening, which is known as the churning of the ocean, or Sagar Mantana as it's called, when Lord Vishnu took the incarnation of, or actually he took multiple incarnations around this event. One of the first ones was when they placed the mountain as the rod by which the ocean would be churned. He came as the tortoise, Kurma avatar.
Yeah, absolutely. The Kurma avataram is very, very intimately tied up with the churning of the ocean, the Samudra Mantam. And Kurma avatar was used he appeared as a kind of like a stabilization of the churning mechanism. Correct. He had like a little itch on his back, and then it just took off from there. Right. Actually, a very, very great story. Great story.
It truly is. And we covered this briefly in one of our episodes in the past called The Animal Avatars of Vishnu. And you're right. And the other avatar that he took was in the form of that celestial Apsara or celestial nymph. And Vishnu, I think, probably never took another female form like that. The most beautiful, enchanting Mohini. Yes. And that was once the nectar of immortality was in that pot, and basically her objective was to distract the demons.
Bewilder and
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's also a very great story as well.
Great story, yes.
Very, very a great story as well.
So there's so much that comes from this Sagar Manthan event, and lo and behold, Mahalakshmi actually came from the same ocean. And as Guruji said, she soon thereafter was married to, or became the consort of Lord Vishnu. So, just like Durga has the 9 forms and the various significances around those different forms, there are stories about each form of the Nav Durgas that we spoke about in the Navratri episode. So similarly, I believe there are multiple facets or multiple forms, aspects of Mahalakshmi, and there are 8 of them, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, you're correct. 8 of them known as Ashta Lakshmi. And of course, as we know, in Sanskrit, the number 8 is Ashta. Okay? Yes. The 8 forms are this, and I'll describe them as such. Okay, you have Adi Lakshmi. Okay, Adi means original, primordial goddess. She represents the first form of Lakshmi, and she bestows liberation. Each is important to note that all the 8 forms of the Ashta Lakshmi, all the 8 forms, their worship or their puja gives certain boons as such. So Adi Lakshmi, okay, her worship is known to give or bestow as a boon liberation, if that's what your objective is, liberation. Okay. Next will be Dana Lakshmi, Dhana, Dana Lakshmi. That's the goddess of material wealth. That's Lakshmi in the aspect of giving material wealth like gold, money, and so on and so forth. And individuals worship Dana Lakshmi very often are businessmen because they want the boon of being able to attain money and wealth and so on and so forth for their business. Okay. The next, very, very closely related to Dana Lakshmi, is Danya Lakshmi. Danya Lakshmi, the goddess of good harvest and grains. So again, also you see in that aspect of Lakshmi, a lot of farmers, businessmen, and so on and so forth, they do the worship or the propitiation of Danya Lakshmi to attain good harvest and grains. Next would be Gaja Lakshmi. Gaja Lakshmi, the goddess of power and strength. And very often she's depicted with elephants and like Ganesha and so on and so forth. Very often.
Right.
Of course, the elephant or Ganesha is symbolic of power and strength. Okay. So hence the term, so hence the reason why Gaja Lakshmi would often be depicted as having strength, being depicted with the elephant and so on and so forth. Okay. Next will be Santana Lakshmi. Santana. Santana means progeny or children. She is known to bless her devotees with offspring and progeny, good progeny. So doing her puja and propitiating Santana Lakshmi blesses the devotees with offspring and progeny. Next will be Vira Lakshmi. Vira Lakshmi. Okay, Vira means strength. Vira Lakshmi means courage and strength. Okay, also known as Darya Lakshmi, the goddess of courage and strength. And of course, propitiating Vira Lakshmi will bestow upon one the ability to have courage and strength in certain situations as such. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Vidya Lakshmi. And as we all know that Vidya means the goddess of knowledge and learning. Okay? Vidya means knowledge. Okay?
Yeah, I have one of those at home.
Absolutely. Yeah. And lastly, we have Vijaya Lakshmi. Vijaya means victory, the goddess of victory. So propitiating Vijaya Lakshmi gives one the ability to attain victory in various situations and such. Now, I want to go back to Vidya Lakshmi. You mentioned earlier the various holidays and whatnot that just passed and so on. Now, the last holiday that we just celebrated was Navaratri.
Right.
Okay. Now, Navaratri is generally celebrated, those really who follow Sri Vidya, which is a type of or a method of propitiating the Divine Mother and such. Okay. So normally, oftentimes in the Sri Vidya, in the realm of Sri Vidya, Lakshmi is not propitiated. Lakshmi is the Divine Mother, an aspect of the Divine Mother. So therefore, she still has a place within Shaktiism to some degree, although she has a prominent place within Vaishnavism through being the consort of Mahavishnu.
Right.
So with that being said, I want to put a focus on Vidya Lakshmi. Vidya Lakshmi, I was reading today, that's where there is sort of a link with Sri Vidya, Sri Vidya as a methodology of attaining the divine through the feminine. So there is a connection there with Vidya Lakshmi and Sri Vidya worship as well. So I thought that to be very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
What say you, Pratt?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you think about the descriptions of each one of these aspects of Goddess Lakshmi, I think they're all really integral part of our lives. To make our lives complete, we need every aspect of that. All 8 of them. We need, of course, there are people who may have certain aspects already granted to them. They may be born into a wealthy family. They may have abundance of food, but they may not be courageous. So everybody has maybe somewhere where they're lacking. So, as you said, when you propitiate one of these aspects for whatever it is that you need that grace for to increase whatever it is that you're lacking, I think that's wonderful to know about each and every one of those 8 aspects of Mahalakshmi. Thank you for that. And yes, the Vidya Lakshmi is definitely essential, most essential, I would say, because we need the knowledge to be able to progress spiritually and evolve. So the knowledge is one of the most important strengths that one can have. So I think that was a great point by you. And as you said, her connection with the elephant and Gajalakshmi, as you mentioned, and how you connected her with Ganesha, I often see many a time in photos, I see Ganesha, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. Many a time you see that depiction. And that's quite unique, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So we are accustomed to knowing that there are, different mantras and different suktas or shlokas that are dedicated to different deities. And in this case, obviously, we're glorifying Mahalakshmi Mata for Diwali. And, there's a collection of hymns that can be recited. I believe it's from the Rig Veda. It's called Shri Suktam. And when I spoke to you, Janardana, you were very enthusiastic to recite that for us.
Yes.
And maybe even tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, the Shri Suktam. Okay. And to my knowledge, I think it is from the Rig Veda. Okay. And I would say it is the foremost of most pujas or most rituals that you go to. They normally run through the Shri Suktam as well as the Purusha Suktam. So just by being a adherent of Sanatana Dharma, generally most, if you're even half awake in any ritual or puja, you can probably know the Shri Suktam. Or when you hear it, most, even like a nominal Hindu, so to speak, if they would probably know the Shri Suktam, and they would be able to, quote different parts of it and so on and so forth and all. So basically, the way it goes is it's propitiating Lakshmi. Lakshmi is Shri. Okay, I'll go ahead and just chant it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Okay, so this is the Shri Suktam. It goes as such. Hari Om Haranyavanam Haranim Sapanarajachajam Chandram Haranmayim Lakshmi Jatavedo Mamabaha Tam Baabaha Jatavedo Lakshmi Manapagamani Yasham Haranyam Bindeyam Gambas Pampurashanaham Ashpaporbam Ratamajam Hastanarapabodinim Shri Ham Devi Mupavaye Shri Ma Devi Jashatam Kamso Hosmitam Haranya Prakaram Ajan Valantim Chiptam Tabayantim Padme Siddham Padmavanam Tamahobavaye Shriyam Chandram Babasam Yasasa Valantim Shriyam Loke Deva Justamuraram Tam Padmanamanim Shavanamaham Papadye Lakshmi Nasatan Vamane. Adityavane tapaso jadato Vanaspati Davavikshoda Bilvaha Tashapalani Tapasadundatu Mayantaraya Shabaya Alakshmi Hey Opaitamam Devasaka Kirti Titamanina Saha Pradabuto Smirastre Sminkadim Redim Dadatame Shupapasam Alam Jestam Alakshmi Nashayam Yaham Abunte Masamarim Chasabam Nonoda Megrahadit Gandadavaram Dovedasham Nitya Pushtam Kavishani Ishva Harim Sababhutanam Tam Ahobavaye Shriyam Manasa Kamama Kutim Pachaha Satyamasimahi Pasanum Rupamanashaha Maishi Shayatam Yashaha Kadamena Prajabhuta Mai Shambhava Kadama Shri Ambasayame Kulehi Mataram Padmamalani Apashidantu Sniktani Chiklitaha Vasame Grahe Nicha Devi Mataram Shriyam Vasayame Kule Ajam Pushkaning Pushting Pingalam Padmamalani Chandram Haranmayim Lakshmi Jataveda Mamavaha Ajam Yakraning Yashting Suvanam He Mamalaning Suryam Haranmayim Lakshmi Jataveda Mamavaha Tam Ba'avaha Jatavedo Lakshmi Madavagamani Yasham Haranyam Babutam Gavo Dashosvani Vindayam Prashanaham Om Mahadevye Javidmahi Vishnu Patniye Chadimahi Tano Lakshmi Prachodayade. So that is the Shri Suktam.
Thank you so much, Janardana. That was truly, truly beautiful, soothing, healing, and just wonderful to hear. And I'm reminded at this time, before I go any further, there's a special surprise that we have in store for everybody who's listening, including you, Janardana. So that's going to come a little bit later on in the show, towards the end. But I just want to to mention this so that everybody knows that there's going to be something very special unveiled later on. So let's talk about this festival of Diwali, where it's a 5-day celebration. And jump in here anytime, Janardana, if I miss something. But I'm going to try my best to talk about, at least just touch on each day and its importance. So day 1, which is tomorrow, according to the Panchangam, we're here on Friday night, the 17th, and tomorrow's Saturday, the 18th. So Saturday, the 18th, according to the Panchang, says that it is Dhanteras. So Dhanteras is named after Dhanvantari, who is another form of Lord Vishnu, actually. So we talked about the 2 other incarnations, Kurma Avatar and Mohini Avatar. But I was waiting for this segment of our show because I knew I was going to talk about Dhanteras. So Lord Dhanvantari very much looks just like with 4 arms and everything, Mahavishnu. But he was holding a pot, a vessel with the Amrit, with the elixir of immortality, the nectar, right? And he was the one who was delivering that. And Lord Dhanvantari is also known as the founder, or if you will, the father of Ayurveda, what we call holistic, nature-based herbal remedies, natural resources that we use from nature to heal our ailments. So Lord Dhanvantari is known as the founder of that. And he's propitiated, he is worshipped on this day for the purpose of good health. And that's of utmost importance for everybody. No matter what your goal may be in life, You cannot achieve any of that if your health goes down the drain. So we need to keep that in mind. And I know, Janardana, you are obviously as spiritually evolved as you are as an individual, and as blessed as you are to have the physical and personal presence of gurus you have had in your life. You take so much importance in terms of fitness, good, healthy eating, exercising. You're involved in a lot of different fitness-related activities. I remember when we had the first episode with you, there was something about, you powerlifting and all that, and you set records there too. So I take from that you also give the utmost importance to physical health.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Of course, Pratt. And it's interesting to note, you did mention Dantaras as such, propitiating Lord Dhanvantari, being an aspect of Lord Vishnu. The thing is that any good health that we may attain definitely comes from the divine, and it comes from ultimately the sun, so to speak,
Sure.
and cosmic energy. So when we chant these mantras and such, and we propitiate Mahalakshmi, Dhanvantari, and such, and of course other deities as well, we're taking in and imbibing this cosmic energy, which gives us good health. Okay, so ultimately, when we worship, we do our puja and our worship, oftentimes you'll see an uptick in your good health. And I don't know that it would be appropriate to talk about it at this point, but the other day, and I think I told you that I was, given a set of various mantras.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
By Ammaji, by Shri.
Right, by Karunamai Amma, right?
Right.
And I was told to chant that particular Gayatri 9 times in the morning and 9 times in the afternoon. And I think we talked about that, right?
Yes.
Well, I did that this morning. And when age starts to creep in, and I don't know if you're feeling it yet, young man, but I'm starting to feel that
things now. I'm starting to feel things these days a little
right.
bit.
Well, I'm starting to feel that now, so to speak. And I chanted that Gayatri this morning, and 9 times, early, I went back to sleep, and then I woke back up maybe some hours later, 4 or 5 hours later, and I felt like I was just reinvigorated.
Rejuvenated.
So with that being said, it also being Ekadasi today too.
Yes, absolutely.
Where we do a lot of fasting.
Yes.
And Ekadasi also is designed to give the devotee good health, fasting on 2 days a month on the 11th fortnight, with the worship of Lord Dhanvantari being the cornerstone of good health and such. All of this is all tied into. All of it's all tied in. But I thought that was a very, very interesting experience I had with chanting that mantra, and bringing in the cosmic energy. And that is what gives you the good health and whatnot.
Yes.
And so anytime when you do pujas, rituals and such, you're just opening yourself up to the cosmic energy, which in turn gives you good health. And so that's really pretty much it in a nutshell.
Right.
And that's what I experienced this morning. I felt like I had been lifting weights all night. It was just the most amazing thing.
Amazing. And you probably didn't lift anything,
No.
I think this is what you just described as the X factor. It's the missing ingredient, because most people only talk about diet and they talk about physical exercise. But we know that there are so many, even if you think you're eating healthy, we don't know what's mixed in sometimes in the food that we eat. And, there's a lot of contamination these days. So we can't only solely rely on those things and say, if I do this is, or I'm going to get organic produce or something like that. Those things are one aspect of it. There's definitely some importance there. But if you need to instill positivity, if you want to have that positive energy rising inside you, you need to have something more powerful that's not tangible, but it's something that you can recite, and it has that mantra carries that energy. And that's what many a time people, either they don't know about it, or even if they know, they don't give it that much value. And that's a major part of the formula that you just described. So thank you for that. So, on the same day, day one, in the same, sort of like in the same line of thinking as, "Oh Lord Dhanvantari, please bless me with good health," they're also doing a prayer and lighting a lamp for Yamaraja, who is the deity of the demigod who presides over death, right? And that is to pray to Lord Yama and say, please don't give anybody any sort of, untimely death, premature death, accidents, and those kind of tragic ways that people die. So you're invoking the grace of Lord Yama so that, if any such death is possible for somebody in your family or something, you try your best to avert that, So that I thought was interesting as well. So it's called Yama Deepam. And
if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
I think that when you light that deepam, you put it in the southern direction, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Because the south area, the southern area, directional area is the abode of Lord Yamaraj.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so now we move on to the second day, which is quite popularly known among the Indian community as Choti Diwali, which means mini Diwali, or pre-Diwali, if you could say. And then that day is also known as Naraka Chaturdashi. And that's the day that a demon named Narakasura was killed and defeated by Lord Krishna. And then it's also called Kali Chaudas. Okay, and Kali Chaudas is the day when you invoke the graces of Mahakali as well to rid yourself of your own demons. And then there's Hanuman Puja that happens on that day. And that's to invoke the grace of the great devotee, Lord Hanuman, because he served Rama so well during his war and battle with Ravana and his army in Lanka, which plays a great significance, obviously, why we celebrate Vijayadashami right after Navratri. And so we invoke the grace of Lord Hanuman on day 2. I'd like to actually also mention a couple of very popular customs that have a lot of deeper meaning to it. The first one I'd like to talk about surrounding Diwali is Rangoli. Rangoli means when the colored powder that you take. It's normally probably the same powder that's used during the Holi festival to apply to or to throw on your friends and family and all that. A similar kind of colored powder, if not the same, is used to make beautiful designs and, auspicious symbols on, your floor, near your entrance of your home. And the significance of it is that you're sort of welcoming people with a very positive vibe. It's beautiful to look at, and many feel very nice when they see that. So there's the welcoming aspect of it, and of course you're welcoming the symbol or the goddess of prosperity and goodness, positivity in Mahalakshmi when you're welcoming her into your home. So this is another way to enhance your welcoming gesture. And then there's also protection physically and spiritually when you're doing this, because you're warding off negativity and evil spirits and things like that. So the Rangoli is really a very beautiful activity for those who are creative, who like to do that sort of thing. And another custom that is sort of followed, I would say maybe, I don't know if it's more in the south or not, could be all of India, but there's a type of oil bath. It's called Abhyanga Snan. So what that is that, you take a healthy oil I think for most Indians, the go-to is coconut oil. And they apply a good amount of coconut oil all over their body, including their scalp and face and everything. And they let it soak in a little bit, so this is helping clean your pores of your skin, really eliminate contaminants from your skin. And you have to, some say, you should actually massage it into your skin as much as possible and let it soak in for some time. Don't immediately take that bath. But then after that, you should follow it with a warm water bath and not necessarily go for the typical soaps and shampoos, really. They say the warm water will eliminate any excess oil that your body has not absorbed. And whatever oil remains is obviously going to be, healthy for your body, and it's going to moisturize your body and get rid of contaminants and things like that. So there's a physical reason why this should be done. And it doesn't have to only be done during Diwali, but it's especially done during this festival. And along with the physical benefits, health benefits, they also say spiritually, we rid ourselves of there are three characteristics or gunas or modes of material nature as they're called. And there's tamo guna, tamas, rajo guna, rajas, and sattva guna, which is sattvic. So of the three, tamas is known as ignorance, darkness, negativity. Rajas is passion, selfishness, and sattva guna is more selflessness and loving, compassionate type of quality. So what this does is what we're physically applying with that oil, that can resonate within our body, and the emotions and everything become more sattvic and tend to be less negative. So that's the spiritual significance of it. So that's really something that I thought was very interesting. I'm not a person who really enjoys applying oil to my skin or my scalp. A lot of people do that, put it on their hair and all that. But after understanding more about how there is benefits physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally by doing this, I actually will take to this practice more, and definitely do it this Diwali. So I urge those of you who do it, please continue to do it. And if you don't do it, definitely, try doing it and see if it does help you feel more positive and more healthy, So I just wanted to bring that to light. Day 3, which is the new moon day, Amavasya. They say usually most Amavasyas, they say don't do anything auspicious or don't take on anything new in your life, any new undertaking, anything that you want to achieve or something. If you're just starting out on it, they say on Amavasya day, don't do. Whereas on the full moon day, which is the other, once the ending of the other lunar cycle, which is when it culminates in the full moon, that's supposed to be very auspicious. But this is the one Amavasya where we celebrate Diwali day, and Lakshmi Puja is often conducted in the evening time. And those who do this, especially those who are Tantra practitioners and all that, they do the Kali Puja, and that's done at midnight. And I remember you told me about the fierce aspects of the goddess are often invoked at that time.
Yes, absolutely.
Very late at night, yeah.
Right.
It's called Nishita Kala. Also celebrated on day 3 are Kedar Gauri Vrat, Chopra Puja and Sharda Puja, which are really two names to describe the same type of puja, and then Kamala Jayanti. So I'm going to describe each one of these to you a little bit, okay? So Kedar Gauri Vrat is a significant Hindu festival dedicated to Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, symbolizing their divine union as Ardhanarishwara. Celebrated annually on the Amavasya during Diwali, it is also known as Kedar Gauri Vrat. Devotees observe the fast for spiritual fulfillment, to overcome obstacles, and to receive blessings for prosperity, health, and a long life. The next thing I mentioned was Chopra Puja. It's a sacred ritual performed by Gujarati business owners and traders during Diwali to inaugurate new account books, symbolizing the start of a new fiscal year or financial year. It is also called Sharda Pujan or Muhurat Pujan, and involves worshipping Goddess Lakshmi for prosperity and Goddess Saraswati or Sharda Mata for knowledge, along with Lord Ganesha. The ritual is performed during an auspicious time known as the Chogadiya Muhurat to seek blessings for success and prosperity in the year ahead. So, when they talk about auspicious time, isn't this the ending of the auspicious 4 months, the Chaturmas, what we call? Isn't this like the final month, the Kartik?
I think this is Kartik Mas.
Kartik Mas,
Yes,
yes.
will be ending just shortly. I believe it. Let's see.
Right. And Kartik is the final one, right? Of the 4?
It will be ending November the 5th.
Okay.
It goes from October the 8th to November the 5th, and I think that is the of the 4. That's it.
That's the last one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and then we have the last one that I mentioned was Kamala Jayanti. Kamala Jayanti, and Kamala means lotus. And we already know that the lotus is associated with Mahalakshmi. So
I want to say something about that. Kamala is the tantric form of Mahalakshmi.
right. Yes.
That's
I was just about to mention that. Yeah.
So she's intimately connected with the Mahavidyas.
Yes. Yes. So since you mentioned that part, let me continue with the description here. It is celebrated to seek blessings for wealth, prosperity, spiritual growth, and overall well-being. Devotees perform pujas, chant mantras, and make offerings to invoke her blessings. And she is seen as the deity of both wealth and grains. So as you said, wealth, Dhana Lakshmi, and then grains, Dhanya Lakshmi. So there you go. And then we have on day 4, it's called Govardhana Puja. And for those of you who are familiar with the Leelas of Lord Krishna, there's that famous story of where he wanted to destroy the ego of the demigod King Indra by suggesting that all the citizens of the village Gokul and Vrindavan would actually not do Indra's puja because he had become very egotistic because he expected that to happen. Otherwise, he would punish those people. So Lord Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson, and he said, we need to celebrate and we need to worship the nature around us, like the Govardhana mountain, which actually provides a nice shielding for our village from outside invasions and all that. So he was the one who inspired all the Gokul Vasis to conduct the Govardhana Puja, which is also referred to as Annakuta. Okay? And Anna means grains or food, right? Rice. So it's interesting that when the Govardhana Puja happened, apparently all the village people cooked up a feast and they put layers, like almost like, if you want to say like layers, like how you would see onion peel, like that kind of thing. So they have circular layers of food items that are placed so beautifully in that fashion, and that's called Annakuta. So that's a beautiful thing, right? So Govardhana Puja is the main aspect of that day, and then Gujarat, it's also considered the Gujarati New Year. And then the 5th day is called Bhaiya Dooj or Bhai Dooj.
Bhai Dooj.
Bhai Dooj, yes. And that's a special day, just like Raksha Bandhan, for those who have, a sibling, sister,
brother, sister.
Yes. They don't do the Rakhi tying and stuff. Obviously, that's Raksha Bandhan. But then there's a tilak that the sister applies to the forehead of the brother, which is symbolic of, the idea that the sister is wishing for her brother's good health and longevity and prosperity and everything. And of course, the brother is supposed to be loving, caring, protective towards the sister. And there are 2 actually Puranic stories that are connected to this. There's Yama and Yamuna. They're apparently Yama, the god of death that we mentioned earlier, and Yamuna is one of the holy rivers. And
they're siblings.
Did you know this?
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
Yeah, I did know that.
I discovered this during my research. I did not know that. And apparently she applied that tilak to his forehead when they were, when she had prepared nice meal for him and welcomed him upon his arrival. She applied the tilak as a good omen for him, and he said, this is so beautiful that whoever, participates in this type of brother-sister, ritual, and any brother who gets that tilak from his sister's hands, they will have no untimely death, no calamity like that, So that's what the folklore says, yes. And then Krishna and Subhadra. So Krishna, after the killing of Narakasura, had paid a visit to his sister Subhadra, and she, obviously welcoming her victorious brother, had prepared wonderful meal for him, similarly like what Yamuna did for Lord Yamaraj. And a similar type of exchange happened there between the brother and sister, and that's a nice little, connection there.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. And then, speaking of Puranic stories, right, there are some that are most often highlighted, and I want to highlight those here as well, directly indicating that this happened on the Diwali day. This is why we celebrate Diwali. This is why Diwali is, at least from a religious standpoint, why it's a special day and why it's an auspicious day. So Lord Rama, who obviously was banished for 14 years in exile, had to fight that fierce battle with the demon king Ravana. So they had a triumphant victory over that army and defeated Ravana. And then, of course, once he was able to release his wife Sita from captivity, and they were flying, once they arrived back in Ayodhya, the citizens of Ayodhya were so ecstatic of his return. They could see him from miles away, flying in the air in the Pushpaka.
Vimana.
Yeah, the Pushpaka Vimana that was coming, and they could see him. So they started to light rows of these oil lamps, what we call diyas. And the word Deepavali is it's a synonym of Diwali. I think Diwali is really a short form. Originally, it's called Deepavali.
Yes.
And Deepavali means row of diyas.
Lights.
Rows of these lights. Yeah, these beautiful lamps that are lit up. And when you see them sort of placed in that manner, it looks so gorgeous, right? So this was what was done to welcome Lord Rama back to his homeland, to his motherland of Ayodhya. How beautiful is that? And then, of course, the killing of demon Narakasura. And interesting thing is, as we spoke about, when the churning of the ocean happened, Mahalakshmi emanated from that ocean, right? And within days of that, she married Lord Vishnu. And that marriage of Lord Vishnu and Mahalakshmi is said to have happened on the Diwali day. So that's another beautiful, understanding of it. Why this day is so auspicious and so unique. And when you actually think about it, Goddess Lakshmi is the wealth and prosperity aspect, and when you combine that with the purity of heart, purity of mind, Lord Vishnu is considered the most peaceful among all the deities. So when they combine, you have the best of both worlds.
Hey, very, very interesting to note. Like in Shalagram Puja, of course, Shalagram is a manifestation of Lord Vishnu.
Yes.
There are certain types of Shalagram that will actually calm down. It is noted that you should place a gold coin on that particular Shalagram. And as we know that gold is considered as Mahalakshmi or Lakshmi.
Right.
Gold.
Yes.
And so I thought that was very, very interesting to note that you would take gold and you would place it on a particular Shalagram that exhibits certain characteristics that might be a little ugram or something of that nature, and it calms down. So very, very interesting. So you have Lakshmi and you have Lord Vishnu, and the two combined,
the synergy between the two,
exactly,
is what is the completeness of the soul, really, right? So beyond Hinduism, there are other religions, they also celebrate Diwali in their own unique way. Like in Jainism, for example, it marks the day that Mahavira, who is their 24th and final Tirthankara.
For those that don't know about Jainism, which was contemporaneous with Buddhism, actually, Tirthankara, that word roughly translates into Ford maker. Ford maker. They make a way.
They make the way. Yeah.
So all the lay people can ford through and attain
the highest state of consciousness. Yeah. So Mahavir that's the day, Diwali day is when he is said to have reached that nirvana state. That liberated state was on Diwali. So that's how the Jains celebrate it. Similarly, in Sikhism, they have their 10 gurus, right? That day on Diwali is called Bandi Chod Divas. Bandi means prisoner. Chod means to release. Divas means day. So on that day, the prisoner was released. And that prisoner was Guru Har Gobind. And he was imprisoned by, I believe, one of the Mughal emperors, Jahangir. And he was the sixth among the 10 Sikh gurus. So it was when he was released from imprisonment. And that happened to be on the day of Diwali. So that's how the Sikhs remember that day and celebrate that day. And in Buddhism, it's really not celebrated very heavily among the majority of Buddhist communities. But there's a community called the Newar or the Newar Buddhists. They're an offshoot of the community of Vajrayana Buddhist tradition. And they're located in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. They celebrate it as Ashoka Vijayadashami, which commemorates the conversion of Emperor Ashoka.
To Buddhism.
Into Buddhism, yes. And of course, he was the emperor at the 3rd century BCE. Other Buddhist communities celebrate it as the day when Lord Buddha returned to his hometown of Kapilavastu after gaining enlightenment. That brings me to an interesting discussion point, Janardana, that I've been thinking about. And that is that, we talked about the different traditions and customs. And as you mentioned, the gold. A lot of people say on Dhanteras. That's dhan. They take the dhan to mean not dhanvantari, but they mean dhan means wealth. In Hindi, dhan means wealth, right? Wealth, prosperity. And they instantly begin to think that, okay, I need to, it's okay to, there's some customs of gambling, playing poker, teen patti. There's
purchasing a lot of gold on that particular day.
Yes.
I think for the most part, a lot of lay persons within the Hindu fold, or Sanatana Dharma fold, I think that they associate Dhanteras not with Lord Dhanvantari.
Right.
I think they associate it with wealth.
And growing more wealth.
Exactly.
So the thing is, what I want to bring to light to all our listeners is that we have, just like Diwali, we have so many festivals, like I mentioned already, like we've had episodes on, and I never brought it to light, but I felt like this is the granddaddy of them all, so I thought I really wanted to talk about this, which is, we live in a material world where we need material wealth and prosperity and good food, and all these things are aspects of our life, and I don't want to belittle that. We have ties to our family, to our loved ones. Obviously, we have to have fun by bursting the firecrackers and having good food and enjoying ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. But what we don't realize is that that's only one aspect of why we celebrate Diwali. Majority of the people, when Diwali comes or any other festival comes, they think that that aspect of it, where we dance, we party, we play good music, we eat good food, we exchange gifts with each other, and we buy wealth and buy jewelry and buy gold and all those things. They think that's the be-all, end-all of it. And none of our festivals, and correct me if I'm wrong, Janardana, none of our festivals center around or focus primarily on material wealth, gain, growth, and only thinking about that aspect. I'm not discounting that aspect, but the main focus or the main gist of what we should gain from these is there's a deeper meaning, symbology to why we relight diyas, to why we burst firecrackers and fireworks, and, what this light dispelling darkness, what it means, like I mentioned earlier, it's really to understand that we have a diya within us, inside us, which needs to be lit. We're just lighting the physical lamps and thinking that's it. But we're not going deeper. And the reason I'm bringing this to light is because we as human beings have incredible capability of going to the depths of anything if we wish to, right? But somewhere we're limiting ourselves when it comes to the true goal of human life, which is to discover oneself, which is to realize oneself. And when we are only thinking about material wealth and gain and growth and how do I get richer and richer and richer, what we're doing is we're getting further and further and further away from the true goal, which is to self-discovery, which is to realize that inner lamp that needs to be lit and to realize that we are that spark of the divine, which gets us closer to the true happiness that we're seeking. Because you can buy all the gold in the world, but that's only going to give you some pleasure for some time. When you're sleeping and when you're in deep sleep, that's as close to samadhi state as you're going to get. You don't even know what you own while you're in that state, right? So my point is that I urge all our listeners to try to understand the deeper significance, because every one of our festivals is trying to remind us about that ultimate goal of liberation, of self-realization, of our connection with the divine, of understanding that we are divine and beyond this body and beyond all the material things and this duality of this world. When it comes to technology, when it comes to modern day science and medical breakthroughs and all these things that we have in the world today, if we limited ourselves to only thinking about the bare minimum, we would not be here. We would not be as advanced as we are. We have now AI technology which can duplicate what a human being can do. That didn't just come about just like that. A human being put his mind to it. They put their minds to it and brought this out to make certain conveniences happen, to make our lives better in a certain way, right? Which is amazing. It's amazing. It's something to marvel about. But when it comes to understanding the purpose of our life, we limit ourselves to just only this much. I'm going to have good food. I'm going to do fireworks. But what does the fireworks mean? The fireworks is like the battle of the good and evil that's happening. Rama and Ravana, or a goddess and the demon. Whatever battle you want to take from our Puranas, you can take that. And good always triumphs over evil, ultimately, right? So in order for that to happen, the good and evil is within all of us, each and every one of us individuals. So in order for the good to vanquish over the evil within us, and for us to realize the pure soul that we are, we need to understand the significance of why we celebrate these holidays. It's not just the surface level understanding that we need. And then that way we can explain it to our children and future generations. This is only going to benefit humanity in many, many ways, in many beneficial ways, if we understand the true essence. See, imagine this. When we have half knowledge or even less than half knowledge about something, are you really enjoying that, whatever that activity is or whatever that is, to the fullest? No. You're enjoying at a very, very basic level. We want to enjoy at a premium level. And we can never mistake the basic level for the premium level. So in order to make it to the premium level, we need to invest ourselves into understanding. And that so much information is at our fingertips these days. We need to understand what each and every one of these festivals is telling us. It's not just stories about gods killing demons and goodness in that sense triumphing over evil. This is how we face our own problems, our own negativity, our own demons. How do we fight those things? How do we get past those things? Because that's what's keeping us from realizing who we truly are. And that's why I say if you understand the significance of something and you have a full, well-rounded understanding of something, then you will enjoy that festival still doing those things, still doing the material aspect of it, enjoying the food, doing the firecrackers, exchanging gifts. You can do all those things. But you're going to have a much, much more enjoyable experience just having that clarity as to what is this festival really all about. So I just wanted to make our listeners aware of that and urging them to share this sentiment with others in their families and other people who they're sharing the podcast with. I hope this is something that you guys will really take seriously, because these festivals will mean a whole lot more to you. You'll appreciate them 1,000-fold or even higher than that if you have that deeper understanding of it. What say you, Janardana?
And I would agree with that, Pratt, in that within Christianity, of course, I have relatives who are Christian and relatives that follow Sanatana Dharma. So that argument, or that recent stream of thought within the fold of Sanatana Dharma has been circulating around over, I would say, the last, at least in Christianity, in the Western world, over the last 30 or 40 years, it's gained a lot of prominence. You see a lot of different slogans going about within the Christian fold. They say Jesus is the reason for the season, these type things like that. They say things like that because they notice that materialism has really crept in. That whole influence of the age of Kali is affecting everyone.
Right.
The Kali Yuga is affecting everyone. And so no matter what persuasion you may find yourself. So we see this creeping in. You see it in all the Christian holidays. Like, for instance, there is Easter. So people put a emphasis on getting new clothes and nice suits and nice shoes, and then going to church and wow, it's Easter. I can't wait for Easter, the Easter bunny, and then there's
Yeah.
Christmas, with, I've seen it so much, with the Christmas tree and getting all the presents, and you forget about the reason why there's Christmas and so on and so forth. So again, this is something that is, it rings very much true what you're saying, and it's just really, really, it's really very good that you are bringing this point to the fore, that we should be aware within Sanatana Dharma that all these holidays, they mean something and they have different poignant meanings and such. It's not just for the heck of it. You don't burst the firecrackers for the heck of it. You don't light the dia for this, that, and the other. There are certain meanings, with all of these things. You don't do the Garba dance to go hang out and look at the opposite sex, the pretty girls, and go do your Garba, which is, from what I understand, that holiday is sort of devolved into that,
Right.
in certain communities and such. And then, everyone forgets exactly what the reason is for that. Like, we know the Garba is, the formation of it is a replication of the Ras Leela.
Right.
But do we teach our kids this?
Yes.
Do we really teach our kids this? And do you think that the young people understand it? Heck, do the old people understand it?
Right. And that's the key right there. That's the key right there. Because if the older generation doesn't know, or they know and they don't think it's that important, or they don't believe in it that much, or they don't have that personal interest to pass it along, that's the issue. You can't blame the youthful generation. They're going to go with whatever their parents have raised them like. But I put the onus on the parents who are parents now for young kids. If you learn about it, either through this podcast or however you learn, there are so many different resources. Please research these things. Please do it, because, like you said, it's all about, buying new clothes and, accumulating wealth. And what's happening is, the citizens of this world, the inhabitants of this world, they're living by this G word that ends in D, and it's not God. It's greed. And we're seeing this at an increasingly, crazy level. It's increasing at a crazy level right now. And we all need to realize that is only going to lead us to more unhappiness, more dissatisfaction, if that's what you're chasing. So let's get back to the true essence of what these festivals are signifying and symbolizing for us.
Again, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more. And the thing about it is, though, is that, when I'm older than you, and you are to a point where the young people would be kind of looking at you, as well as myself, kind of like, well, these old guys here, so for us to be kind of expressing what we're expressing, we're kind of like spoilers, so to speak, right. But again, as you so eloquently posed it, it's not, the onus is on us and not the young people. So it is incumbent upon us to bring forth these sentiments, the understanding of these particular holidays and what the deeper meanings are, versus just letting them go on a really shallow level.
Right.
So, I would definitely agree with that.
Thank you. And so at this time, I'm very honored and privileged to be joined by one of my really good friends. He's like my brother. He's from my singing circles. And like I've brought on some guests in the past who I've also come to know through my musical interests in singing of karaoke, Bollywood songs and all that. I have a good friend here, Prashant Sharma. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, namaste. Thank you for inviting me. I didn't want to talk actually. You were talking so which things which are very close to my heart, as based on me, right? So based upon our previous interaction discussions. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
But welcome to the show. And let me just introduce you also to Janardana, a very evolved soul. He is disciple of not just our Guruji, Sadguru Sant Keshav Das Ji, but also Shri Karunamayi Ammaji. So he's currently has her blessings. And as she's here physically to guide him, continue guiding him on his spiritual journey.
Good afternoon, Prashant.
Good afternoon, you. Thank you.
So Janardana, we spoke about his spiritual journey in one of our episodes, which you can always listen to later. But you will get a chance to hear about his incredible story and how he came upon meeting Guruji. But let me tell all of our listeners here a little bit about Prashant. So he was born and raised in the serene town of Chamba, nestled in the hills of Himachal Pradesh. His educational journey took him through Bajnath, Shimla, and Delhi, culminating in a graduation from Maharshi Dayanand University of Rohtak, Haryana. In 2006, he moved to the United States, and since 2008, he's made his home in Frederick, Maryland, where he lives with his wife and his two beautiful children. They're both teenagers. And I know his family. They're very, very sweet people, and they're like my family. So he says, my love for music blossomed during my college years. I began by assisting with PA systems at college festivals and soon found myself singing backup vocals. A close friend had a keyboard and I would spend hours practicing on it. After earning my first salary, I bought a Walkman and a few cassettes, immersing myself in music of all genres for countless hours. After moving to the United States, I invested in a keyboard and a karaoke microphone, jamming for hours in my free time. I am deeply grateful to my wife, whose unwavering support and belief in my potential continue to inspire me. In 2013, I discovered Logic Pro, a digital audio workstation, and began exploring music production more seriously. I earned a diploma in music production from Berkeley, and I have taken various courses to deepen my understanding of the craft. Since 2021, I have been learning Hindustani classical vocals under the guidance of my esteemed Guru, Dr. Pradeep Satheji. Music for me is not just a passion, it's a spiritual journey. Himachal Pradesh, often referred to as Dev Bhumi, or land of the gods, or divine land, has deeply influenced my spiritual roots. Morning prayers were a daily ritual in our home, and my maternal grandparents served as priests in a Hindu temple, which further nurtured my early connection to religion. My father is a deeply spiritual person, and his influence led me to explore sacred texts from a young age. Among the many books I read, Autobiography of a Yogi, that's a classic, and Chit Shakti Vilas by Swami Muktananda had a profound impact on my spiritual journey. Later, I studied the Bhagavad Gita, and I feel compelled to read it again to truly absorb its deeper wisdom. That's beautiful. And I can say firsthand that my experience with Prashant Bhai has been started with music. And like he says, music is a spiritual aspect of his life, or music is a deeply spiritual experience for him. So it is for me as well. So music is what brought us together. And I have worked on some projects that he initiated earlier on, and those were wonderful projects for me and great opportunity for me to see the magic that he creates with Logic Pro and the software that he uses. It looks like rocket science to me, but this guy is a whiz kid when it comes to this. He really knows what he's doing. And I had mentioned earlier that we have, a surprise that we wanted to unveil to our listeners, and we'll get to that shortly. But I'm really thankful to Prashant Bhai for taking on one of my initiatives, one of my projects, which I don't like to say it's just mine, because I think it's ours. I had come up with an idea for a devotional song, what we call bhajan. I had composed it, the lyrics and the tune, the basic melody. It's in Hindi. And I approached him when I traced back in my WhatsApp conversation with him. I traced back to August 26th of last year. That's when I first communicated the interest to do this collaboration with him. And there's nobody else I would collaborate with for this or any such project like this, because I know that I already have a comfort level with him, having worked with him before that. And we're very close friends. Our families are very close, and we're just like brothers. So I felt that comfort with him. And when I suggested it to him, and I had told him before that itself, even before I had conceptualized this bhajan, I had told him that I want to work on something. There's a desire within me to do something devotional. We had done a lot of Bollywood cover mashups, and he also makes his own original compositions, but those are like mainstream, little bit, commercial, romantic, whatever you want to say. But we wanted to, I think he also shared that desire that we should collaborate and do something devotional. So when it finally struck me one fine day that, this tune struck me, and I just started to come up with the words, with the lyrics, I was starting to slowly put it together. And perhaps even before I had completed the song in terms of the lyrics, I had already communicated this interest or this idea to him, and he was so welcoming about it. And I'm thankful for that, because I think after 14 months, we finally have a finished product. And that's what we're going to unveil to all of you. Prashant Bhai, if you'd like to say something about it before we actually play it for our audience, if you can go through your experience with us.
I will. Like in the previous meetings I mentioned, it's been like a prasada for me, because every time I'm working on the bhajan, I'm so busy, right, with the kids' job and everything. So whenever I found the time to work on the bhajana, so I'm listening to your vocals and reciting the Lord's name. So so that was really prasada for me. And rather than listening to the words as just the lyrics, so I was humming it at the same time, and thanking you and thanking all the stars that I am listening to Lord's name whenever I was working on it. So that's how I felt while working on this one. Yeah.
Thank you. So without any further ado, if you're okay with it, Prashant Bhai, unless you want to add something more, we can go ahead and play it for our audience at this time.
Sure.
ओ नामों पे दुनिया टिकी है, सब संतों ने ये ही लिखी है। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। एक है मर्यादा के रूप, दूजे है निर्मल प्रेम स्वरूप। इन दोनों में भेद नहीं है, चरणों में इनके शांति बसी है। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। भक्तों के उद्धार को आते, दुष्टों को संहार के जाते। धर्म के पथ पे चल के सिखाया, लीला करके हृदय चुराया। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। इनके नाम माया से छुड़ाए, शरणागति से मोक्ष ही पाए। सब कर्मों के फल देने वाले, एक है नीले तो एक है काले। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। जय श्री राम अयोध्याधीश, जय श्री कृष्ण द्वारकाधीश। तो नामों पे दुनिया दुनिया टिकी है, सब संतों ने यही लिखी है। सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। This is such a heartwarming feeling for
Very
me,
nice.
Prashant Bhai. It took a little longer than we had hoped, because I know that there were many festivals this this year that I was thinking Ram Navami, maybe we'll release this time. But I think God and Guru have a bigger plan, and they wanted it to be released on the granddaddy of all our festivals, Diwali. And here we are, unveiling it to everybody who's listening. And soon it's going to be on all the streaming platforms, all the major streaming platforms for people to listen to. And God bless you, Prashant Bhai. Thank you so much for giving me this immense pleasure and fulfilling my dream. You know, I always thought about composing an original song, and I think, you know, somewhere the catalyst is still Guruji for all of this. It's without his inspiration, none of this would be possible. Not this podcast, not the bhajan or anything. So for me, you know, he's the catalyst, but, you know, somehow getting in touch with the right people, we are able to make magic. And I'm so thankful and gratified by what I heard. You know, we of course spent a lot of time doing these recordings and stuff like that, and I gave you a lot of tough time with it. But, you know, I think good teamwork shows well in the end. And
very, very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very classic North Indian sounding bhajan. Very nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm really at a loss for words.
Yeah. So this was something that was brewing, you know, sort of, you know, while I've been doing these podcasts, you know, whenever we get time. And of course, Prashant Bhai is, you know, he's got his own life, his family, his work. This isn't his only, you know, this isn't his only job, you know, so it's his passion, and he spends a lot of time doing it, but he also has a regular day job, and, you know, and so do I. So, and, you know, he travels, I travel. So for one reason or another, you know, it took us 14 months, but hey, I'm just glad to see and listen to what it's turned out to be. So
yeah.
thank
So
you, Prashant Bhai.
Yeah. So 14 years for Lord Rama to come back, and 14 months for us to just to write this song.
So well said.
Yeah.
Well said. I didn't think about that part of
Yeah.
it, but that's so true.
Yeah.
So is it in the form of a single only, or is it in album form?
No, it's going to be a single only. Yes.
Okay.
It will be released as a single, yes. If we had to do an album, Janardana, at this rate, it may be 4 or 5 years down the road when the album is finished.
Yeah.
But no, I think singles are the way to go, you know, as we come up with, and we certainly hope to continue to work on more collaborations, whether it's devotional or not, but certainly more devotional songs, hopefully down the pipeline. So, you know, I'm very happy with the experience of just this one, and it inspires me to do more with Prashant Bhai. So I hope he feels the same. And so Prashant Bhai, tell me your feelings on Diwali, the celebration, the festival. Tell me a little bit about maybe how you celebrated as a kid back home in Himachal, your hometown.
Yeah. So I have a story. So while we were growing up, right? So we had a neighbor, and we had some kind of property dispute with them. So we were not at talking terms with them. But at the time of the festival, Diwali, my mother will make a plate of sweets and would ask me to go to their home. Sometimes my sister will accompany me. So I asked her one day, we don't talk to these guys. But then why we are sending them sweets? So my mom said it's Diwali, right? So on this day, everyone, whether friend or foe, you don't think like that. It's Diwali, you have to celebrate. So that struck me deeply, right? So yeah, so that's the best memory I have about the Diwali. And yeah, so as a kid, I used to like lighting diyas and the prayer. So my dad is not into these things like religious thing, but he's spiritual, well read. So, but but on Diwali he would do these do the puja, the lighting of the diya as the house of the head household. He will do the same, and he's a doctor by profession. And so in India, it's just not at home. People do the worship at their workplace also. So he used to do it at his shop, and then we would come back. And so that still like echoes in my mind. And yeah, but the major attraction was the fireworks as a kid. Yeah. So
Sure.
yeah, after Dashara till Diwali, you could sense the positiveness in people, the vibrance, and all those things, right? Yeah. So, and on a serious note, like you guys were discussing, so it's our duty as parents. We have to teach our kids about why we celebrate festivals. It's not about buying new clothes. It's not about getting sweets or distributing sweets. It's just like we teach our kids how to brush, right? How to tie laces. We tell them, but these are for this world, right? If we can teach our kids a reminder to our kids every day that God is around you, and don't be scared of the God, right? He's just like your friend, and you can think of a God like in any form,
Right.
like right, like what you see in a picture, or you can think of a God as a human being also, as a guide, as a mentor, as a friend. And if you start behaving like that, so the differentiation with the good and the evil, right? The kids get these things very easily if they understand it, right? Yeah, so that's my message to all my listeners, all your listeners.
Yes.
Uh,
Our listeners. Yes.
yeah, so the God is always around you. Just like I'm feeling the rug inside my feet, just try to feel the God around you. And yeah, so that's my message. Yeah, and that has helped me making a good human being. I mean, that I'm not trying to praise myself, but
Right.
at least um, I don't have the words to express, but you might say it is middle age syndrome. But
I won't say that because I'm
yeah,
also middle-aged.
so sometimes it confuses me when you read books and they say discover yourself, right?
Right.
How to discover yourself in this fast-paced life? People don't have time to read the books or the granths or shastras, right? How to make it simple, right? So this is my cheat code, that God is always around you. If you try, whenever you are thinking about any, it could be talking bad about somebody else, it could be lust, it could be greed, it could be anger, right? Just think there is someone elder or your dad, and would you do such kinds of thing in front of your dad? It's just like keeping you in check.
So true. So
Yeah,
true. I mean, that makes just thinking about the fact that God is around you makes you act more responsibly, right?
yeah,
Make better judgments, better decisions. Hopefully,
yeah,
it kind of purifies your thought process and you tend less to engage in negative thoughts as well as actions. Because ultimately,
right,
our thoughts is what manifests into our speech and our actions.
right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a very powerful message there. That's you're saying this is what my message is, and you're making it very simple. But that simple message is very profound. And I also thought that what your mother did with the sharing the sweets with somebody that you generally even don't have that type of relationship with is also very, very inspiring. And that we should forget about our enmity, at least for that period of time. And maybe even not have that enmity. Slowly it will go away. It will dissipate in you as long as you have that quality of goodness and that, you're engaging your mind more with the divine. What happens is the negativity automatically starts to reduce. It's not even that you have to do it. I think the impact of your practices, your spiritual practices will manifest in that form, which is good for you because you don't hold any grudge against anybody. When we have that negativity in us, we are carrying that burden on our shoulders, and we need to lighten the load for ourselves. So that's a great message. Thank you, Prashant Bhai. That was wonderful.
Excellent message.
And taking that idea of lighting the diya or lighting our inner lamps, the word, when we get to that point, that peak of our spiritual evolution, and we truly feel the freedom from all the bondages of this world of duality, it's called enlightenment. But that phase of freedom, after which you are never going to be pulled back into this world of duality. At least you can even be living in this world and still be free. Not that the freedom only comes after death. It's called Jivan Mukti. So that term enlightenment stands out really as a very highlighted term because we're lighting diyas and we're trying to use that as a symbolism to get rid of the darkness from within ourselves, within our heart, within our minds. And as we do that, as we take to these practices more and more and more, and chant the holy name, do whatever practice helps you get away from negativity, slowly you're getting closer to that state of enlightenment. So that's what I would like to highlight here. And the last thing I'd like to do before we sign off is mention the holy days of the month. Now, there's only a couple of them. I'm not going to talk a lot about, some of the smaller ones, but really the big ones we've already covered. Now, Navratri ended and Dashera Vijayadashmi happened at the early part of the month, which was October 2nd, I'd like to say. So that sort of started October. And then of course, we spoke about the 5 days of Diwali that are going to come from starting tomorrow, the 18th through the 22nd. Today was Ekadashi, as Janardana had mentioned. And on the 7th of October was Valmiki Jayanti. And most of us know Maharishi Valmiki ji was the original author of the Ramayana. And we had spoken in depth about that in the Ram Navami episode, so you can go back and listen to that. But there's a wonderful backstory about Sage Valmiki and how he became a sage from a sinner. And then there's Mirabai Jayanti on the same day. And Sant Mirabai is one of the few highlighted female saints who was a great, great, great worshipper of Lord Krishna. And she grew up in Rajasthan, 16th century saint, and she was married into a royal family in Rajasthan, and she never fit in there. And her story is a little bit sad to see, but at the same time, it's very inspiring that one can be so attached to God that she has no worldly attachments at all. And once you become so attached to God, nothing hurts you, nothing harms you. Nothing can disturb that peace at all. So Mirabai was someone who had that elevated consciousness. And then on the 10th of October, maybe Prashant Bhai, you can shed some light on this, because we don't celebrate it in the South, but 10th of October, there was Karwa Chauth. And I'm sure Bhabiji, your wife, was celebrating that wishing for your good health and longevity and overall well-being of her husband. So is there something about the customs and traditions of Karwa Chauth that you'd like to shed some light on?
Yeah, so I don't know the backstory.
Okay.
Why
I don't either.
why celebrate it, but it's a very popular in North India. On this day, the married women, they fast for the whole day, and it's called they don't eat, they don't drink, and they break their fast after seeing the moon. Yes, yeah. So they keep it for um, for the longevity of husband's life. Yeah, that's all I know.
And that happens on a full moon day, correct?
It's on the full moon day. Yes.
Yeah, Purnima day. Yeah. So that's very nice. So
May I interject?
Please do.
Prashant, to my understanding, I've always seen in the Bollywood movies and such that they have to sight the moon, but they have to look through a screen. Can you shed some light on that, of looking through a screen when they do that? They have to look through something.
It was introduced by Bollywood only.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen my mom using that screen. So yeah. So Karwa Chauth was not that much popular when I was growing up, and it was like you see now these days, women wear fancy clothings and ask for gifts from husband. So, but
Right.
yeah, but it was not like that in the past. So yeah, it was just like it was a fast actually. It was treated as a fast, just not eating, but fast for to suppress all the worldly desires as well. So, but the Bollywood has turned this into a different level, I'll say.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you to once again to Janardana, really, for helping me be able to do this podcast today, because my usual partners in crime, my castmates Vikram and Christiane, could not be here. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Thank you for having me, Prat.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, special thanks to Prashant. I'm thankful to Prashant for this musical project that we worked on, this divine musical project. And he worked very hard on it. And I can't thank him enough for it. It means a lot to me. So thank you. It's our project. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd like to make mention also the beautiful tabla that was played there. It was played by one of the most highlighted students that my dad loves to take along with him when he does bhajans in temples, and he loves this student of his very much, and that is Anish Acharya. He's a very, very humble, sweet kid. And when I asked him to be part of it, he made it seem like it was the biggest treasure for him, biggest honor for him. And for us, Prashant and myself, I would speak for him as well, that it was an honor to have him playing that caliber of tabla, such a young man. And interesting thing, Prashant Bhai, I wish I actually did invite him on the show, but he has a big exam. He's in med school right now. He's studying for that. So he said, unfortunately, I cannot be part of it, but I hope that your podcast recording goes well. I hope the song has come out well and everything. But the thing is that I really wish that he could be here. But at the same time, I do want to give him his due credit. And, a lot of the students that have learned from my father over the years, many of them are now working, they're professionals. And right when they hit that college mark, right when they get to college, they say, that's it for me. I can't do any more tabla. And whatever they've learned to that point, maybe they still play at temples or play with singers or something to accompany, right? But they don't come back to him and study again. Very, very, very rare is there a student who comes back. And I would say Anish is one of those rare students who, despite being so busy, whenever he has a weekend, when he comes home, he makes it a point to come and study one more lesson from my dad. And that means that tabla is not just a hobby for him. It's also a passion. It's something that's also spiritual for him, his spiritual connection with tabla. So it was a great blessing for us to have Anish be a part of this project.
Wow.
Yes.
So on that note, happy Diwali to everybody. May you all have an abundance of happiness, peace, prosperity, good food, and everything. Enjoy your family time. And as I mentioned, certainly have that attitude of gratitude towards God, and in whatever form that you wish to, because it's without that grace, we're nobody and we're nowhere. So whatever we have, let's be grateful for it. And I'd like to thank once again our audience who is so loyal and listens to all our episodes. Thank you so much. And may peace be with you. Happy Diwali. Om Shanti.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Namaste.